Today's guest has faced moments that could have broken him: loss, health scares, identity challenges, and heartbreak that could have defined his life. But instead of shutting down, he chose courage and meaning, building connections and a movement that changes how men talk about their struggles. His journey spans sports, friendship, fatherhood, and a powerful mission born from experience. You're about to hear a story that's raw, surprising, and deeply inspiring. Please welcome Tom Berry, someone who proves that real power comes from opening up. Hi, Tom.
Hi, how you doing, everybody? How you doing? Pleasure to meet you as well.
I mean, we talked about your journey on the phone, and this is the first time actually I'm seeing you in person. Not in person, but like at least online.
Online,
Um,
yes, yes.
and it was a
Yeah, no,
pleasure to talk to you. And you were so kind to open up with your story. And I'm sure my audience will gain a lot of insights from your journey. So if we can start with a few questions and get to know more about you.
absolutely.
um, so how did losing your dad and grandfather so young shape the kind of man you grew up trying to be? Because I think that is the biggest early experience that you had, if you can talk about that.
Absolutely. So, kind of to give a little bit background, I lost when my father passed away when I was 4 years old, and my grandfather, who was like a second father to me, passed away when I was 9 years old. So, with those two losses kind of close in proximity to each other, it took me aback because you're a child, you're looking for your dad and you don't understand death at that point of age of 4. And then when you have someone that's very close to you, like my grandfather was, and he goes away, then it's like, what's going on here? So you kind of go inside to yourself a lot. You internalize, you don't really try to speak to people. So when that happened, I had two choices. Either it was just succumb to everything and, just fall on depressed, or make something of it and dedicate my life to both of them. And then also it helped because my mom is like also a father to me as well. And she's someone that at least mitigated a lot of the pain that I felt. And she instilled the confidence that I have as I do today to get through anything, to push forward, even when there are days that are very dark. It's easier said than done sometimes, but it's always a light at the end of the tunnel. There's always something that you can always look inside to yourself, and you can always make sure that you're okay and everyone around you are okay too. It also helps that you have people that care for you around you, as well as like a good support system too.
Yeah, and I was actually very surprised to know, like, you were 4 year old, right, when your father passed away.
hmm
How does a child, such a small child, process that loss, at that age?
it was very hard because I also started having my seizures at that point too. So it could have been where my seizures were due to the loss of my father because of the traumatic experience, and or just me just being so upset and then not being able to process it and also speak about it to anyone else. You're a child and you're still trying to learn like languages and sentences and how to formulate your opinions and your ideas, and then you're all with other children that may not have been with or had certain things that have happened to them too as well. And then it's like certain things that may be big to other people may not be as big to you because your parent just passed away. And then you're with like a single parent household, and now you have to figure out how to be a man by yourself, and then hopefully have like good male role models too in the process, because that's important, especially when you have the foundation that's rocked so badly like that. You have to try to get your standard ground and also try to make sure that you're okay, and make sure that you are also going to be able to succeed in life. And things like that are always going to happen. But at such a young age, I couldn't even process. I couldn't even process what death meant. I actually had a story I used to tell people where I used to live in Yonkers, was the Hudson River right there. And I used to say, oh, my dad's right over there, over the mountains. I used to think he was over there and he's going to come back soon. When I was 4 or 5 years old, I remember saying that. And
Mm.
then by 6 or 7 years old, then I understood, he's not coming back. So it's like something that's like very heart wrenching, gut wrenching. But at the same time, it's like you have to go through the process of grief. So you have to go through the sadness, the like sometimes the anguish, the why is my father not here? Because also you have Father's Day events. I had in school. Well, I had to make Father's Day cards, and they teachers used to force me to make a Father's Day card. I'm like, well, I mean, my dad passed away. Well, you still have to do it for your grade. You had to go through things like that, and it can either break you or it can make you to the person that can give back to anyone else too, because you don't want anyone else feeling that pain as well. So I chose the latter. I chose to not want to succumb to all of the pain and the anguish. I wanted to be there for the people that I care about, and that's where I'm there for people, and that's what I do this for too as well.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Which actually brings me to the next question. Like, you dealt with epilepsy as a kid. How did that experience build your mindset and the choices that you made later on in life?
So kind of I touched on a little bit that I started having my seizures. So how it happened was kind of give a little background information. We were on vacation in Virginia, my family and I. I was 4 years old, going on five. So a little after my father passing away, maybe like a couple months. And what ended up happening, I started walking to the bench. I said I was tired. I blacked out, and I woke up 2 days later. So
Mm-hmm.
apparently, I was in a 2 day coma, medically induced coma. I stopped breathing at one point. They actually had a helicopter me to the hospital because it was so urgent. And then my aunt, who actually told me the story recently, she had to run with me and to the car that was there at the parking lot. The doctor said if that didn't run, it wouldn't have like I guess got my heart to have a rhythm or a beat, and I could have passed away.
Oh.
So it's something that's so severe, then I start having to take medication for it, which I still do today. However, I haven't had a seizure since I was 9 years old. So because of me not having seizures, I stopped. I didn't drink at all. I never smoked anything. I was pretty much clean cut for everything for the rest of my life. The reason why I wanted to do that is because I saw firsthand personally what could have happened if you know, I was maybe a couple minutes later, I could have not been here today.
Yeah.
And that in itself, this seizure, also molded my mindset to be stronger too. Because I'm like, I just got through that, and I had a few more seizures after that too. And I was like, I was able to get through this. I'm able to get through other things too as well. Um, Sometimes the curveballs in life will come at you, but you have to be able to stay on the pitch and be able to knock it out of the park. So you have to be able to take and come and go. You have to take what life gives you, and then also just try to make sure that you're able to manifest something out of it. So now, because I had the seizures, I have clear mind of okay, I can be stronger, and I have to be stronger because I don't want another seizure happening. Sometimes I always felt that maybe I prevented seizures just because my mindset being stronger. And then it's like I also started getting into exercise. I started getting into sports more. I started, running around, being active. And I think that also helped mold me to the person I am today as well. So, with my passings of my father, my grandfather, the seizures, those things back to back, is a lot to deal with, especially dealing, speaking to kids about it. I actually didn't even tell a lot of my classmates that I had seizures when I went to middle school. In my elementary school, they saw me have the seizures. My middle school class, they really didn't know about it until we graduated high school because I was too afraid to say it to people because I didn't want it to get like made fun of or ridiculed or anything. Because when you're in middle school and high school, it could be a pretty tough place. And, something people can use things against you. But I, just wanted to just be just a regular person. I didn't want to be that kid that has seizures and epilepsy, and people kind of ostracized me because of that. Um, well, when that happened, and I was like, you know what, I just want to be just a normal person. No one else knows about the seizures. I don't want to use that as a life crutch. So, because of that, it also made me just realize, you know what, you're a regular person too. Even though you have these things happen to you in your life, even though you had, the different deaths and the seizures and epilepsy, you're just a regular kid. You're a regular teenager. You're a regular adult. You're just a regular person too, as well. No matter what life gave you, you still can be, and you can still have a normalcy in your life.
Yeah, and which what is really great is like instead of feeling dejected, you actually took that as a challenge, and
Mm-hmm.
made yourself more stronger with the
Yeah.
tools you had with exercise and with your family's help. So that's pretty amazing to see like how you took that challenge as.
And
Yes.
that's the thing too. I love challenges. It's funny you say that. Growing up, it's like I always love to just challenge myself to the next step. Okay, I was able to figure this out. What can I do now to push the limit? So it's funny you actually say that too as well because I do love and accept challenges all areas. So I like to test myself. So I think because of that too, of the challenges that I was able to keep pushing myself too.
Beautiful. Coming to the next topic, I think that was really moving when I heard that story about your friends. Like, so my question is, you've lost close friends to mental health struggles. How
Hmm.
did those experiences push you to be part of some of the JCK Foundation events and speak out about stigma? And before you answer that, I actually want my audience to know what JCK Foundation stands for.
Hmm.
If you can explain
So
during your answer, yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So pretty much, JCK Foundation, it stands for John Cleaver Kelly Foundation. So to kind of give some background history of John Kelly, he was a friend of mine, one of my best friends that I met in Dobbs Ferry. So that's the town I lived in from the fourth grade to the 12th grade. But I knew him from the fifth grade up until past our college years. I met John in the fifth grade. He was actually one of my first friends in Dobbs Ferry. He is a kid that was, or was a kid that was so selfless. He would go up to anyone and speak to them, no matter who they were, what they were, how old, young. He treated everyone equally and exactly the same. He's pretty much like the embodiment of what you feel and what you would like for a friend, a colleague, a mentor, a family member, someone that treats everyone equal. And he never pushed someone away. Like, he never said bad things about somebody. He was always good to everybody. So John had OCD and depression. Uh, as he got older, it got worse. And John actually was going to psychology, psychiatric treatment. He was talking to somebody, and his doctor, dad, who was actually a doctor, actually quit his practice to be with him too. Um, Unfortunately, John succumbed to his OCD and depression and committed suicide.
Mm.
So he actually did a what's called uh, a it was a basically a way of committing suicide where he took homemade chemicals, so chemical suicide, in
Okay.
his car, opened it, and said, "Don't break glass, call hazmat," and that's how
Mm.
he committed suicide. So his last act was even trying to prevent other people from being harmed. Even prior to that, he was distant more than usual. We would make plans to play basketball, go work out. Last minute, he would cancel the plan. And then I was like, John, why are you doing that? No answer, no reply. It's because he was dealing with the OCD depression. And sometimes people think OCD is, oh, the person wants to be cleanly and this. And no, it's not just that. It's, a person that's stuck in a routine. And they feel that if they go out of that routine, also, not everybody, but sometimes, that someone's going to get harmed that they love. So he actually stopped going downstairs to his own basement where we used to hang out because he felt something was going to happen to either myself or his other friends too.
Oh,
It,
oh.
it was that deep rooted. Yeah. He actually stopped shooting a basketball a certain way because, people would make a comment about how his feet were when he would shoot. So then he was conscientious about that. It
Mm-hmm.
really was a deterrent to him in his life. And he, tried and he pushed for it. He would write in a diary, and unfortunately, he did succumb to it. Now, in regards to the foundation, that was actually started by two of my friends too. One in my grade, one a couple of years younger than me. So they were sitting in his room, and they were like, you know what? We need to keep John's legacy alive. We can't let his name die because the thing that happens is if you stop speaking about somebody, that's when they officially go away forever. So then the JCK softball tournament was made. The first tournament started out in July of 2011. There's four teams on a very hot day, and my team won the championship. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like it means so much to me too, because we did it for John, and to play and win the championship against all odds, it means everything. Fast forward 15 years later, the JCK tournament now is a foundation which goes overseas. They go throughout the United States. They go to different schools and different events. They even partake in the New York City Marathon too, as well, and they go through the stigma of you're not alone. That if you have or ever have to go through anything, that you can always speak out and always, speak to anybody. We're always here for you. We're always there for you. We're always here to lending a helping ear to you because no matter what, someone's always going to go through something. Again, life is going to throw things at you. However, you have to be the person to be able to bridge that gap and then make someone else feel okay too as well. So now they go universal. They actually partook in a this basketball tournament that was on ESPN too. They're that big, and it all started with one idea 15 years ago, and then ballooned up to this foundation that it is today. The founder, I tried telling him how great, he what the work that he does, and he doesn't even want to hear it because he's that humble of a person. He himself actually has OCD and depression as well, and John
Okay.
Kelly was his mentor. So John Kelly used to speak to him too, as well, even when he was a younger kid. Now he does this for John. It's his life's work. And for him, his name is John as well. He's such a great kid that he's able to use his platform to better everybody else around him, and then in turn, it actually makes him okay as well.
Very, like very interesting. I mean, I've heard about mental health issues, but not in this detail, and it really opens the eyes to understand how bad it is.
Yes,
And I'm very curious to know. I know his dad was helping you. You were also trying to make him come out of it. Why still he was not able to get the help that he really needed at that time?
I think it's like throughout the years, he also we're living in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s,
Right.
and life was, oh, walk it off, get over it. You can get through this. And then, you have, I think, people on the outside not understanding it, and maybe only a few people here and there that were able to understand what he was maybe going through a little bit. And it's tough because even though you have that person maybe that's there for you, they're maybe there for a couple hours, a few minutes, and then they have to, do something else or go home. Sometimes a person needs a consistency, and
Mm,
everyone's always learning about what's going on, what's happening sometimes too, as things are unfolding. I try to put myself in someone else's shoes, and I myself couldn't understand sometimes why he was pushing me off or pushing me away, because we would open up to each other a lot, but then there were certain times he would shut down. And I'm like, okay, but what's going on? Is it me? What's going on with him? Why is he? Everyone was doing this. So, and that was the thing. I think in retrospect, we wanted to probably be a little bit different. Is maybe be like, you know what? He is going through something. Let's try to be there for him as much as possible, as opposed to being annoyed. Because again, we were in our 20s at that point when
right.
everything was happening. And we were just like kind of getting started in our lives, even though we're trying to be there for each other. We're still learning. We're still younger too. We don't have that mature mindset that maybe we do as much as we do now. So I think with the stigma in life, mental health started coming around really in the 2010s, even more so, like predominantly early 2000s and the 1990s, it wasn't spoken about. It was there, but people were like, who cares? There's no mental health. There's nothing like that. People aren't
Right.
going to. Okay, if you go through something, everyone goes through stuff. Oh well, figure it out. That's pretty much what was happening. There were a few people that you could really engage into being, an emotional and a sensitive landscape with.
Mm,
Some people were just so cut and dry that you really can't just voice your opinion. You just go about your day, and then you just have to just make sure you're okay at the end of the day, and then the other person just maybe doesn't even care. You can say everything to a person, and person will be like, okay, well, you just have to just get over it. That will be the
yeah.
response,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you're right. Like before, they thought like it's nothing, no big deal. But as we're
hmm
learning more and more, it's actually a lot of it's a big issue, and so many people face it, and they now at least we have resources, but previously they used to be alone, facing it all. So I believe the JCK Foundation actually helps these people to speak more about their issues and share with other people, right?
hmm
And then get the help right on time, right?
yeah. So with the JCK Foundation, there are a lot of different testimonials because they go to into high schools around
Mm,
the United States. So there are different testimonials where I've seen, outside of the JCK Foundation, kids that would say, I was going through something. I heard about this JCK Foundation coming into my school, and I didn't think anything of it. I didn't even pay attention to them. But then they kept coming back to my school. So then, I was going through something myself, and I just say, what the heck? Why not try to see what they're about? And it changed my life. So I hear that a lot, and even the team I had with the JCK Foundation this past year in the softball tournament, there are kids from the schools that they were going to. So now it's a lot of high school kids going to college that are playing this foundation. So what they're trying to do is actually incorporate them because that will keep the foundation going. Because as we're getting older, we may not be able to play anymore in a few years, but the high school kids and the middle school kids, they're going to keep the foundation going. They're going to keep the softball tournament going, so on and so forth. So with the high school kids, when they hear that, hey, the testimonial from John, because he speaks about his own personal life situations that he had, and it just it eats at them. It gets to them to the core because they're like, you know what, I'm going through that too, and someone that's in their 30s is speaking about it, and he's okay. No one's making fun of him about it. Wait,
mm,
there's something going on here, and then it changes their life forever. I actually know one particular person in my team. When I first met him, he was, kind of like very shy. He was just trying to fit in, especially in the tournament. And now he has so much confidence, and then he embodies like the foundation as a whole now. From 3 years ago to how it is now, you see the changes and the strides that he's made. And it's like you love to see that in anybody, but especially in the younger crowd too, because
Mm,
when the younger crowd sees that there's somebody that is going through something, and maybe that's actually the same thing that they're going through, and they thought they were the only person that was going through it, then you have a group of people that are getting together and able to share their stories together. You have people that are being vulnerable now. Now the people are letting down their guard and they're able to speak on, hey, this is the situation that's going on right now. Wait a minute. I was going through that, or I am going through that, or hey, listen, let's talk. Do you want to meet up? Now you make friends. Now you network with different people, and then it only gets better from there. So I feel that the foundation, it allows people to, like I was saying, be vulnerable. It allows people to make sure that everyone is okay as much as possible. And again, it only takes that one step of just hearing them out for the first time, and then the sky's the limit.
right, right. How wonderful. Thank you for sharing,
Absolutely.
the information and the knowledge you have around this topic. It is so crucial, I think, especially today's time. And it's lovely to see how high schoolers are, so much involved in this cause. I would like to take the information about JCK Foundation and put in, my description so that other people can also, if
Oh,
you have a
absolutely.
website or something that they can, reach
Ab-
out to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So my next topic, very important. My next topic is around your mixed race. I think we talked about it,
Yes.
how that was a big impact on your life. So growing up mixed race in the 90s wasn't easy for you. How did being in the middle affect how you saw yourself and where you fit in? So if you can expand that a bit more.
So, kind of give a little background of myself to let people know. So, I'm Jamaican, Irish, Scottish, and African American. So, some people don't realize I'm either black, white, think I'm Spanish, which is okay. um, so, growing up, especially in the 90s to the early 2000s, I sometimes wasn't white enough to be with the white kids and not black enough to be with the black kids, unfortunately. I have gotten into situations where they say I don't talk black, so I
Mm,
can't hang around you. I never understood that. I never understood the whole you don't talk black. I don't know what that means. I know the culture very well, and I'm very educated, and never shied away from being knowledgeable and being able to speak on my behalf. It was hard in a way because when you're stuck in the middle, you feel that you're isolated and you
mm,
feel that no one understands you or gets you. But it kind of like what I was touching on before, maybe someone does, but you're with them for a few minutes, a few hours, and then you have to go back home and it's the same routine over and over again. What that kind of did was actually prepare me for life,
mm,
adulthood. It prepared me to be able to make sure that I'm able to stand my ground with
mm,
certain things, able to speak up, be confident too, because sometimes even, to this day, if I have to do something for a job and I have to speak to someone that maybe still has that mindset, I have to prove myself all the
mm.
time. And it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
However, it can be that way. And it's not like for everyone else. That also made me in a weird way make it seem that not everyone is the same because you will go through life with some people that have that mindset and a lot of people that don't. that in turn made me feel that, okay, there's always someone that's not with that mindset. So I don't want to be with the people that have that mindset because then they're just going to bring me down. They're going to
Yeah.
just try to dim my light, and I don't want that. So you're going to be around people like that sometimes. Sometimes you can't help it. But then there are the times where you have that core people. You get that sense of camaraderie with different people that you know you can trust in, that you can confide in, that you can call whenever you feel down, and it can be months or years without seeing them, and then lo and behold, they're there for you. So that makes you connect with people a lot even more. So that's what kind of that also made me realize too. Now, growing up, I was in a small town, so they were coming out of that mindset. The kids were also learning for sometimes from the parents that really were into that mindset. So as they got older, they started realizing that's not the way to do things. So then
Right.
they started changing, they started maturing also as well. And I'm also like a forgiving person too.
Mm.
So even though someone may have wronged me in the past, I'm not going to just always hold it against them because if you do that, also they're just going to have that weight on you, and you're never going to be able to elevate yourself. So
Right.
you always have to be able to, just look a person in the eye and say, you're not going to affect me any longer, or whatever you did to me in the past, that's in the past to me. I don't even think about it anymore. So you have to have that silver lining because everything that you go through in your life is always a learning experience. Even if
Right.
it's the worst thing that you're going through, it is a learning experience in the end. And sometimes it's harder to believe and instill into somebody, but when you actually go back and you look at it tenfold, you actually see, you know what? Things could have gotten worse. Or you know what? I'm actually stronger because of this happening to me.
Mm.
So going back to, being in the middle, I felt like now I'm in outside of the middle because that makes you realize that, you're no longer, maybe if you're in the middle, maybe you're just the attention of people. Maybe they or felt that they thought of you a different way and then they were nervous or scared, so they had to revolt to that. There's so many different things that you can always think of, especially because of kids, you know? And you can't always blame kids because kids are going to be kids. Kids are going to have irrational thoughts. They're going to have irrational actions. So you have to be able to uplift yourself sometimes and just be like, you know what? Doesn't affect me anymore. I'm not going to allow this to be able to be a stigma. This is not going to be something that's going to make me or break me, you know?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's how I feel about that too.
Yeah. And I think you, I think you're very positive as a person, and that's why you will come out of it so positively. And I think thankfully the times are changing now. It's much better from 90s. That time people used they want you to bracket you in some box that they think that
Yeah.
fits a person, but now it's more like free flow. You're more accepted,
Mm-hmm.
because people marry each other in different religion, races,
Yep. Yep.
ethnicities, so it's very common and it's more acceptable. But I think it can, if a person was or a kid was weaker, it could have ruined their mental health. But I think having that positive attitude that you had, I think that really helped you. And you you saw, you understood why like kids were treating like you because they were not mature enough. And that really speaks a lot about how, what your attitude was towards it. So that's pretty commendable, and thank you for sharing the story about this.
I appreciate that. And then, sometimes again, it was hard. It was very hard at first to
Yeah.
that and instill that. But as times went on, then, I felt like, oh, I don't have a choice but to be positive, and try to make something of it. So, and that we're not old in just one mold or another mold or another.
Right. Yeah, I mean, thankfully the times are better now, I would say that.
Yeah.
um, Moving to the next question, I know you had a cancer scare. How did thinking about your father's early passing influence how you take care of your health? I know you touched a bit about this, but like your health and your family, how do you take care of both?
So kind of just to give everyone some information, background information. Last year, I started having lower back pain,
Mm.
and I also in my abdomen I had like sharp pains too. I'm not the type of person to willingly want to go to a hospital, but I came home. I actually went to the gym, came home, and I told my wife that I need to go to the hospital. So the reason why I say that is because a couple weeks after that, I started getting like lower back pain. So I thought it was something to do with the diverticulitis. So I got a MRI. Uh, I actually had, and it showed inflammation in my aortic lymph node, which is behind your abdomen, and it can be pretty much deadly.
Oh.
Uh, yeah. And when that happened, I had to get different tests. I had to get sonograms. I had to get a lot of different things ran for me just to rule it out completely. But as it was happening, I was breaking down, to be very honest, because I started thinking about my daughter, my wife. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's the same thing happening to me because my father passed away of Crohn's disease and pneumonia. Uh, it's the same thing happening to me where I'm going to pass away and not be there for my daughter too.
Right.
I had to stay strong for her. And what that entailed was even if she saw me, looked at me, because she was starting to become aware of her surroundings at that point, I didn't want her seeing me down.
Mm.
When I would look at her, I was like, you know what? I have to also make changes in my eating habits too. So, and I also included with the diverticulitis. So they don't know what causes diverticulitis, but I took out a lot of like the acidic foods that I would eat or drink completely. Just completely stopped eating and drinking it, and made sure I was maintaining a healthy weight and a healthy food balance too. And because of that, I wanted to be here and wanted to be able to feel good about myself, and also wanted to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So
Mm.
my father's passing really affected me in my decision making because possibly maybe if that didn't happen, I would just carelessly just still eat and drink whatever I was eating and drinking, uh, and then not really care about the situation. But seeing what happened to my father and how I had to go through life, I didn't want the same for my daughter and
Mm.
also my wife too, because I saw, what it did to myself, my mom, my sisters, and the hardship that we had to go through. And
Yeah.
that we eventually connected and we eventually got out of too. But at first, it was very detrimental.
Right.
So
Mm.
seeing that happening really took me to do like a complete 180 in what I was doing and how I was, doing certain things. Also, my lower back, I went to physical therapy because what I wanted to do, I wanted to be able to pick up my daughter. I wanted
Right.
to be able to play with my daughter. I did
Mm-hmm.
physical therapy for 6 to 8 months
Oh.
just so I was able to do that. And just so I was able to play with her and be active myself. So I did that and all that time, 2 days a week, every week, and was able to get over that and get through it. And now I can say that I do not have diverticulitis, I do not have cancer, and also my back pain is not as severe and it's pretty much gone away too as well.
That's so amazing. I mean, you kind of work really, really hard to turn that around.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, it can be scary. I mean, whatever you faced in your life, you don't want your family to go through again. So kudos to you, for taking charge of your health, and then making sure you can conquer that fear. And now I think you're healthy now, as you said, right? Nothing
Yeah, yeah. So
is there.
everything's healthy now. You have to go to the doctors. Just I check out every now and then just to make sure everything is okay. But I don't have any of the pains. I don't have any of the symptoms of the aortic lymph node. Went to even urologists, and they're saying, "Oh, it's probably based on the diverticulitis causing
Mm,
inflammation around you." So that's probably what ended up happening. So he's like, you know what, we'll just put this to bed. We'll do other exams, but you should be fine. So
awesome.
completely okay. So that's why, even things I went through, it may seem that everything's fine, everything's okay with me all the time. That's not the case. There's
Mm,
always something that's always going to happen, but it's what you make of it and what you are able to do to get around it, get over, or get through it. So you always have to just kind of try to keep that positive mindset and try to say, you know what, there is that light in the tunnel. I just need to do this first, do that, change this, and then you can always find and make your way.
right. Well, that kind of bring me to the last question, which kind of wraps everything what we talked about. So, as a man who's lived through loss, fear, and growth, what do you want other men to understand about being emotional, opening up, and not carrying everything alone?
So, kind of like to touch base on what I was saying before, it's okay to open up. It's okay to say that you're not okay. It's okay to break down. It's okay to show vulnerability.
Mm,
That's why, the whole walk it off mentality, it doesn't fit the mold. It's not something that should be the way of life because you're even that person that's showing and saying that I'm okay, I don't need to speak about it, they're going through a lot themselves.
right,
They may not show it, but they may do it in other actions and other ways that show you that they're going through something. Maybe they're over drinking, over smoking, overdoing something that's harming themselves because they're going through something that's so severe that they want to mask it with something else.
right.
So, you know, I feel that as a man, in this day and age, especially as well, you need to speak up about what's going on with yourself. If you're something's not good or is happening, reach out to somebody. Well,
Mm,
but make sure also at the same time it's someone that also has your best interests for you and
right,
that wants to take advantage also because you have to make sure that your mental health is fine because when your mental health is fine, everyone else around you is fine too. Because for the people that actually care about you, they want to make sure that you're doing well for yourself. So that's like my take on it. You need to just be able to, say things to other people, verbalize it. Just don't internalize because when you internalize, that's doing more harm than good. I've tried the I'm going to do life by myself thing. It doesn't work.
yeah,
I'm a prime example. It does not work. You need people in life. And
right,
I feel that, the people around you have to be good people, of course. You have to be careful, of course, but not everyone's the same. Not everyone is out to get you. Not everyone is out to do harm to you. There are many, many millions and billions of people, good people and great people in the world that want the best for you. So that's my party words that, guys, speak up.
yeah. And when you share your your feelings with someone, you actually feel lighter. And girls are definitely better than the boys, I would say that. So thank you for putting stress on that. I think it's very, very important. And I have like two boys myself, my husband, and we
Yeah.
try to communicate, but I think we need more.
If my wife and I ever have a child, I feel like that's probably going to happen, or a son will probably also happen that way too as well. I think you
Right.
just speak, it'll probably be internalized. It'll probably take a while, but it
Right.
comes with the territory.
I agree. But Tom, thank you so much. I actually want to, do a nice ending to this. I feel like opening up doesn't make you weak; it makes you human, and that's the greatest strength of all. And I think thank you for sharing that strength with us, and kudos to you. To
Thank you.
be
Thank you.
so kind, so strong, and so thoughtful around all the challenges that you have faced, and that the good stuff that you're doing for your friend, for the mental health issues that we have, and trying to help the community. It's really, really great. So thank you for
I
joining us
appreciate that.
today.
Thank you. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. That means the world to me. And thank you for
Thank
allowing me to share my story too as well.